Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Master Duel branded Chimera deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because this deck is an amazing deck to play on Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and currently my favorite deck to play competitively. If you guys have not checked out one of the Master Duel streams on the channel, you definitely should because I'm going to be playing this deck a lot on stream. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become our notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Mirror Sword Knight. Mirror Sword Knight is the best starter in the entire deck. This card has an amazing effect, just like all of your illusion monsters, that if this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle, which is an insane effect to be able to use. Also, quick effect, you can tribute this card to special summon a monster from the deck that mentions Chimera Fusion, except another copy of this card, which you're always summoning out a copy of Big Wing Baphomet, all of its effect, so that you can get a search of Gazelle and a copy of your Chimera Fusion. This card is also a negate, which is amazing because when a monster that your opponent controls activates its effect, while you control a copy of Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast, quick effect, you can banish this card from the field or the graveyard and negate that effect, which is an amazing ability because we have multiple monsters in the extract that actually count as Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast, which is so cool. We then play 3 copies of Cornfield Codal. Codal is also a 3-of in the build because this card is actually a searcher for your copy of Mirror Sword Knight, because you can discard this card to be able to add a monster that mentions Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand, meaning you can instantly search out your copy of Mirror Sword Knight of this card's ability, and it also has a really cool effect that when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a card that you control while you control a copy of Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast, quick effect, you can banish this card from the field of the grave to negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card, which is an amazing ability to give you targeting protection. We then play 3 copies of Gazelle, the King of Mythical Claws. Gazelle is definitely a 3-of as well in the build because this card has the effect that if it's normal or special summon, you get to add a level 5 Fiend monster or a copy of Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand, and if this card is sent to the grave as a material for a fusion summon, you get to add an illusion monster from your deck to your hand, meaning you can search out your copy of Cornfield Codal or a copy of Mirror Sword Knight directly from your deck to your hand if you use this card as a fusion material. We then play 2 copies of Big Wing Baphomet. Baphomet is just a good 2-of in the deck. You don't need any more than 2 copies of this card because it's easily searchable and summonable off your copy of Mirror Sword Knight, and has a great effect that if it's normal or special summon, you get to add a level 4 beast monster and or a copy of Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand, meaning you can get both pieces you're going to need to start fusion summoning, which is insane because you get the fusion spell and a level 4 beast directly from your deck to your hand, meaning we can search our copy of Gazelle off the copy of Big Wing Baphomet, which is so cool. This card also has an amazing ability that if this card is sent to the graveyard as a material for a fusion summon, you can actually target an illusion monster in the graveyard and special summon it, which is such a cool ability to instantly get one of your illusion monsters back on your side of the field, like a Mirror Sword Knight. We then play 2 copies of Edgem Chain. Edgem Chain is just really good as a 2-of in the deck for the Fright engine that we're playing, because this card has the ability that if this card is sent from the hand or field to the grave, you get to add a Fright card from your deck to your hand, which is great to instantly search out a copy of Fright Patchwork and then activate Patchwork to be able to search out another one of these cards and a copy of Polymerization directly from your deck to your hand, essentially getting you a +1. Plus, this card is Fiend, so it helps us going for a bunch of different fusion plays, which is amazing. We then play 2 copies of Fallen of Albaz. Fallen of Albaz is great in the deck to help us going for all of our branded fusion plays, and it's just an overall fantastic 2-of that's basically a walking super polymerization. This card helps us going for cards like Mirror Jade, which is just so cool about this card. We then play a single copy of Aluber. Aluber is really good as a 1-of in the deck, basically just to help us get to our copy of our branded fusion, and it's just a really good 1-of in the build to summon off a branded opening. We then play a single copy of Spriggan's Kit. Spriggan's Kit is also a level 4 beast, so it is searchable off of Big Wing Baphomet's effect, and this card is a great ability if you have a fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz as a material on the field or in the grave. You can special summon this card from your hand, that if it's normal or special summon, you can add to your hand one of your branded spells or traps that's banished in your deck or graveyard and place a card from your hand on the bottom of the deck, helping you get to your copy of branded fusion even easier and recycling your cards, which is so cool. This card is definitely a 1-of in the deck, especially with branded fusion at 1. so this card is just really good overall. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is definitely a 3 of just to stop the opponent from touching the deck, and since it is a Master Duel deck profile, we're also playing 3 copies of Maxi. Maxi is so important in every Master Duel deck because this card basically stops your opponent from playing because they're either going to have to take the Maxi challenge and let us draw every time they special summon, or they're going to have to stop right there and wait for the follow-up, which is going to be really bad for our opponent to give us so much resources on the follow-up turn. This card is definitely a 3 of the deck and is probably the most powerful hand trap ever created. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get in to the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with our 1 of Branded Fusion. This card is very easy to get to, but it's currently at 1 in Master Duel, but it helps us step into so many different fusion plays, you just got to play it at 1. It's an amazing card overall, and it's easy to get to in the deck, especially with cards like Aluber and Kit being able to get to it, and even Branded Opening, helping you summon out your copy of Aluber to your side of the field so you can get to this card. It's just an amazing 1 of in the deck. We then play a single copy of Branded Opening so we can summon out our copy of our Aluber to our side of the field so we can get to our copy of Branded Fusion. Plus, this card does give us a little protection because if a fusion monster you control would be destroyed by a card effect, you manage to card from the grave instead, which is a pretty cool effect. But Branded Opening is currently at 1 in Master Duel, meaning we just play a single copy. We then play a single copy of Crossset Designator. Crossset Designator is really good as a 1 of in the build as well, because this card basically just stops the opponent from hand trapping us with cards like Maxi, Ash Blossom, and even Infinite Impermanence. So this card is just fantastic as a 1 of in the build. We then play 2 copies of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is really good at stopping the opponent from hand trapping us. Along with our copy of Crossset Designator, we want to make sure our copy of Cornfield Codal or a copy of Mirror Sword Knight goes off, and so we want to stop cards like Maxi and cards like Ash Blossom. So these cards are very important for the deck to make sure we're not going to get hand trapped. We then play 2 copies of Polymerization. Polymerization is really good to help us fusion summon into all sorts of different plays, which is why we play this card as a 2 in the deck. Plus it works really well with our copy of our Guardian Chimera. We then play 2 copies of Ferrite for Patchwork. Patchwork is really good because it lets us add a copy of Edge Imp Chain and a copy of Polymerization from our deck to our hand, which is just amazing about this card, and it helps us out with so many different plays, essentially giving us a +1 by giving us a Fiend and a Polymerization directly from our deck to our hand. We then play 3 copies of Chimera Fusion. Chimera Fusion is really amazing as a fusion spell because it's actually a quick play spell, which is so cool, and it has the ability during the main phase, you can actually fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field, including at least a beast or a fiend monster, which is amazing because you can go into any fusion monster you want as long as you include a beast or a fiend, which is so cool. This card can actually be used almost like a Branded in Red like effect to be able to use it during your opponent's turn to flip it up during their main phase and go into a Guardian Chimera, which is one of the main plays of the deck. And this card is really good also because it has the ability, if this card is in your graveyard and you have a Chimera, the flying mythical beast, on your field or in the grave, you can add this card back to your hand, which is so cool to be able to do once per turn. So you can fusion summon into one of your Chimera boss monsters, and then this card will be in the grave. You can add it back to hand, set it to your side of the field, and during the opponent's turn, you can go into a copy of Guardian Chimera, popping 2 and drawing a card, or drawing 2 and popping a card, depending on what you fuse into. This card is definitely a 3 in the deck and one of the most powerful spells in the entire build. Speaking of powerful spells, we also play 3 copies of Super Poly. Super Poly is just really good at board breaking. It's just a fantastic card overall right now as a 3 of in the deck to make sure you can deal with these Snake Eye boards. It's amazing in the deck overall and definitely a 3 of in this deck that fusion summons like crazy. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing 3, and that's going to be 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is amazing as a 3 on the build just to stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. This card is an amazing 3 of overall to go with our copies of Maxi and Ash Blossom. It's just a really good hand trap overall in this build. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Chimera, the King of Phantom Beasts. This card is definitely a 2-of in the build and is so easy to summon and probably the main monster we're summoning out in this deck. This card has the ability, just takes a beast monster and a fiend monster to make this card, and this card's name becomes Chimera, the Flying Mythical Beast, while it's on the field or in the grave. And you only use each of the following effects of this card once per turn. That if this card is fusion summoned, you can activate this effect to send a random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard during the end phase of this turn, which is a really cool ability that your opponent's basically going to start with one less card in their hand, which is going to make it easier for us to go in for game on the follow-up. Also, during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can banish this card from the graveyard and then target a Beast Fiend or Illusion monster in the graveyard and special summon it, which is great to instantly get a monster back on your side of the field, like a copy of Mirror Sword Knight. We then play a single copy of Baphomet, the mythical king of Phantom Beasts. This card is a great 1-of in the build. It's basically a foolish barrel that if it's fusion summoned, you can send a Beast Fiend or an Illusion monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is a really cool ability. It has a similar effect to your copy of Chimera, that during your main phase, or during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can actually banish this card from the graveyard and target one of your banished Beast Fiend or Illusion monsters, except a copy of this card, and special summon it. And also this card's name becomes Chimera, the Flying Mythical Beast, while on the field or in the graveyard. We then play just a single copy of our main boss monster, Chimera, the Illusion Beast. This card is a beast of a boss monster and has a really cool effect that this card's name becomes Chimera, the Flying Mythical Beast, while on the field or in the graveyard. And this card can attack monsters a number of times each battle phase, up to the number of materials used for this card's summon. And if this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle, just like every other Illusion monster. And at the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can actually change that opponent's monster's attack 1 to 0 and negate its effects, basically just dropping it down to 0 and letting you attack multiple times directly, essentially directly, for 3,100, and it just is a amazing OTK card because that opponent's monster will have 0, they'll take 3,100 points of damage each attack, which is so cool. We then play 2 copies of Guardian Chimera. Guardian Chimera is really awesome to be able to play in the deck as a 2-of because it's very easy to summon off of Chimera Fusion. It does require 3 monsters with different names to be able to summon, and if you use monsters from your hand and field to be able to summon this card, you have to. Depending on where you use them from depends on the effect you get, which is amazing to be able to do, either draw 2 and pop a card, or pop a card and draw 2, which is just so cool about this card. I really love this card as a 2-of in the deck. It's just such a powerful boss monster. To pop 2 and draw a card, or draw 2 and pop a card, is just really good overall. And also has a really cool ability that if polymerization is in your graveyard, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects as well, which is just amazing. We can buy a single copy of Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade is just really good at spot removing cards off the field. It's basically our main boss monster for the branded line of the deck. 1 copy of Lubellion because it can recycle our resources and go into fusion monsters, which is really nice. 1 copy of Albion. Albion's great in the deck as a 1-up as well because this card is basically a crazy powerful miracle fusion. If you summon it out to your side of the field, you do get to banish a materials to summon out a fusion monster. And if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can actually add to your hand or set a branded spell or trap directly from your deck, which is a really cool effect. And then play a single copy of Ridbrom. Ridbrom is also one of the monsters we summon out all the time with branded fusion. This card is a walking negate, which is really cool, but you can use Fallen of Albaz plus a copy of Gazelle to make this card to be able to use Gazelle's ability to get its search for a copy of Codal or a copy of Mirror Sword Knight, so then you summon out Mirror Sword Knight and go full combo with your Chimera line, which is really cool. Plus this card can help you summon back your copy of your Fallen of Albaz, basically have an on-demand Super Poly. We then play a single copy of Titaniclad. Titaniclad is just a really good option overall in the deck. It's just a really good card to be able to summon to your side of the field. Play a single copy of Magnum. Magnum's also a good option to be able to make in the deck because this card lets you target a polymerization spell or fusion spell in your graveyard and place it on the bottom of the deck and then draw a card. And when another card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can banish a polymerization or a fusion spell from your graveyard and then target a card on the field and destroy it, which is an amazing ability. Play a single copy of Draco's Tapilic because it's a walking gate, plus it's a really good super poly target. And for our other super poly targets, we're also playing a single copy of Garua and a single copy of Mud Dragon. Mud Dragon and Garua are the best super poly targets in the game, and they really just cover everything, which is really nice. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a branded Chimera deck in Master Duel, you should definitely give this deck a try. And again, if you guys have not checked out one of the live streams of Master Duel, you should definitely do so by clicking the bell down there so you get the notification whenever I start streaming. They're a lot of fun. I really like interacting with the community, and plus I'm going to be playing this deck a lot on stream. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.